a choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expanding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I am your host, Brandon Thomas. On this episode, we have Tianna Roser. She has a podcast, Beyond the Illusion, with co-host Tim Howe, and her book, Awakening Transformation, A Beginner's Guide to Becoming Your Higher Self, just dropped. Links and all that stuff, of course, will be in the show notes, guys. She is an awesome talk to. We talk about all kinds of stuff. She does Reiki, hypnosis, life between lives. We do a lot of past life stuff, twin soul stuff. It is awesome. So this is a very fun episode. She's one of the sweetest, warmest, kindest people I've ever talked to, and she's just awesome. I think everybody's really going to enjoy this. So for more on this show, go down in the show notes as well. expandingrealitypodcast.com will be linked down there. Go check that out. That's where you can find our merch as well as our link to Rokfin. So check out Rokfin. It's premium content. It's like $10 a month, I believe, something like that. And you get everybody's premium stuff. We're over there. We're starting to add to it slowly, but it's happening. So go check that out for more. But guys, let's get right to this because it is awesome. So, Tianna Roser. All right, ladies and gentlemen, extremely excited to welcome Tianna Roser. How are you this evening, darling?
I'm fantastic.
Good. Got the name right.
Yes.
Thank God. Okay, we went
Great
through
job.
this. I'm in a fog right now, which we will talk about in a minute because we kind of touched on it off air here, and we'd just been chatting. I was like, dude, let's get this going. We need to get it going here. So you're wonderful. For my audience that doesn't know you, do you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a hypnotherapist, and I specialize in spiritual regression. That's like past life regression, life between lives, quantum healing hypnosis technique. I'm also a Reiki master teacher, and I teach Reiki as well. I also do something called soul plan reading, and a bunch of other things. And I also am a co-host for a podcast as well called Beyond the Illusion, and an author. I just published my first book.
Yes, you did. Congratulations. Beyond the Illusion, your podcast is amazing. I've been listening to you guys a little bit. I just caught your one about twin flames. That is so cool. I need to hook you up with actual twins that I know, Ronald and Philip Kinsella. They've been on the show. They're both authors and UFO guys. They're really cool. They actually run a podcast in the UK called Twin Soul, so it'd be perfect for you. I'll hook you guys up. They're amazing.
Yeah,
you will love these guys. Okay.
There's like a whole twin flame collective, and there's a certain vibration and energy. I've met a lot of twins since, being on my journey. So yeah, always love to connect with them.
Well, since we're on that vein, just talk to us a little bit about what you've discovered in that arena.
Oh, man, it's like a whole, actually, since you listened to that episode, I didn't really get a chance to tell my whole story. I'm like, we have to do that on another episode for sure, because it takes a lot of time. And certainly like my next book is going to talk about this. But yeah, it's been such a roller coaster for me. It's been about 6 years since the initial experience meeting my twin flame. It's not somebody who I'm, together with at all. It's really something that for most twin flames, this happened to me, activated my Kundalini, and then created kind of, as the Kundalini starts to work up through your chakra system, creates like a whole dark night of the soul, because everything in your life pretty much just all falls apart as all this karma comes up at once to clear. So everything kind of falls apart. And it's, it's one of those big types of ego deaths where basically the journey is all about surrender and trust to the divine and, letting go of trying to control everything. And so that was like a very difficult, some difficult years to go through that, to get to a place finally where I feel just really whole and fulfilled within myself. And despite a lot of heaviness and darkness on that journey, I would go back and do it again if I had to, because where I'm at now is just like way better than I've ever been in my whole life. And kind of for me, it's been a journey of finding union within myself, of my own inner masculine and my own inner feminine coming into union and finding wholeness in that way.
So if you don't answer this, it's totally fine. But what role did your twin flame play in your Kundalini awakening?
I would try to think of like the term, because some people say your twin flame's like the other half of your soul. And I don't know. I mean, I don't like the idea of thinking I'm like a split soul, but I'd say it's my divine counterpart. And when you meet up with that person, which in the past hasn't been that common, but a lot of us that are twin flames believe that it's happening right now as part of the awakening, the shift that's happening on the planet. And so twin flames are coming together on the planet at the same time, which is this intense, when you meet them, it's like all of the karma, it's like these two souls split off and had all these lives in, different directions. And when you come back together, then all of the karma that they bring and then all the karma that you bring kind of comes together, and your energy system starts to merge with their energy system. So you feel their stuff, and if they're open or awakened, then they feel your stuff too. And so that is what activates the Kundalini is this dormant, primordial spiritual energy that sleeps at the base of our spine until we do certain types of spiritual practices or get activated by a guru or meet your twin flame. And then that awakens that, which was something that I actually wanted. I got Shaktipat, which is when a guru goes and activates your Kundalini. I got Shaktipat years ago thinking that I really wanted to have that experience, and not that much happened at that time. And I was like, whatever. And I just kind of let it go. And then when I wasn't trying and I met this person, it activated my Kundalini. And then I realized like, oh, be careful what you wish for, because it's just a really intense experience, which is why it lays dormant, sleeping until somebody's ready, because it's just kind of like a massive purge of things across lifetimes, of your own ancestral clearing that needs to happen, and things in this lifetime. And for me, this lifetime has been pretty, I don't want to say easy, but like compared to other, a lot of people who are on the spiritual path had very difficult or traumatic childhoods. And I had a very loving, protective childhood. And so I didn't have as much trauma as other people have, but all of the stuff from other lifetimes came in, and it was just like so overwhelming to experience all of this darkness at once. And basically everything, just everything that you get your sense of security or identity from. So work, your own body's health, my home got burglarized, my car got totaled, the place where I worked, suddenly they sold the building and didn't have an office. And then suddenly my business, everything just crumbled basically out of nowhere. And everything I tried to do, it was like being in quicksand and trying to get out. And so it's just, the more I tried, the deeper into the darkness. And then just having like these weird, waves of despair and sadness that would just kind of, it felt like almost like a storm would come in. I'd be like, doing something on the computer. And then just this like massive wave of despair would come over, and it would immobilize me. I would just have to stop whatever I was doing. And I would have these deep crying spells, and I would just feel this energy all moving through me. And I cried like every single day for probably 9 or 10 months. And it was like so dark and so hopeless and so heavy. But it was also this really massively intensive spiritual time. This is when archangels were like visiting me all the time, and loved ones on the other side. Just when I wasn't even like meditating or anything, again, I would be like on the computer doing something, and suddenly this like spirit would come in, and I would just have to like stop whatever I was doing and have this conversation and whatever. So I was having in my I am presence. I don't know if you're familiar with the I am presence, came in, and I had this intense experience with the I am presence where I thought I was dying. I basically thought I was dying, and it felt like I was melting away all of my existence. But it was this like, and my I am presence was like, I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was like the booming voice of God, but it was like, it was coming through my heart chakra. And it was just like, I am the I am. And it was so scary, but also, it's just really powerful, intense time spiritually. That's just some of the experiences that happened during the Kundalini Awakening. Yeah.
It does sound terrifying, but with that sample that you did, I am going to sample that part of your audio and send it to a DJ friend of mine. He's going to make something of that. So it's actually you're going to turn that into something beautiful. I can hear it in my head already. It's Vinny the Saint. He does our outro music. He is awesome. So shout out, Vinny. Thank you. I'm going to send you that clip, dude. We'll get it going, and you'll be on one of his tracks now. So it sounds like you've got a pretty good rounded way of expressing this medium for yourself. This whole genre is very interesting to me, especially lately, and I'm proud of everybody waking up. Like, let's do it, guys, but you get to a point, of course, there's charlatans in the game, and you know that, but I'm kind of okay with anything that's high vibe right now. I'm just like, dude, just be cool with each other. I say it at the end of every single show, y'all just be good to one another. That's my whole thing. So it that feels like what's going on, right? And so any bit of it is pretty cool, and there are people that specifically look at one little piece of it, like Reiki, and that's awesome, and they're dope at that one thing, and that's great. But you have such a well-rounded skill set that it has also made you obtain a really well-rounded perception about all of this stuff. Like, you're able to really tie things together. I'll relate it to the UFO phenomenon, because if I didn't bring up UFOs in every episode, I would just be wasting everyone's time, right? But in the UFO phenomena, you have people that are what we call nuts and bolts folks, right? Are you into UFOs at all? I should just ask.
I'm not super well versed. I think they're cool, but I don't know that much about them.
It's a wonderful answer, and you don't have to for this example, and that's awesome. But there's nuts and bolts folks that are just like, okay, well, they're in craft, that are technology, that's it, and they're coming from other star systems, and that's great, and they focus on that. That's Reiki in this example. And other people that are like, it's interdimensional or whatever, right? So there's different camps, but what I like to do, and what we do on the show a lot, is zoom out, marry them all together. So this is why I like your approach for this specific part of what we're talking about. Spirituality in general, like I said, it's a waking up thing. We feel like we're really coming into this, and I know you feel this too, and it's alive and it's energetic. And like I was talking to you before this, there's some interesting stuff just going on with me personally that's really interesting. I feel more dialed in than ever, and I can't explain it. I don't know. Anyway, but what I wanted to say is that the ability for you to marry this kind of stuff together has gleaned this huge perception differential from you and other people that don't really look at it the same way that you do. What's like the biggest understanding that you've come to gathering all of these things, like Captain Planet? You're gathering all these things to make this one awesome thing, which is you. And what is like the one thing that you've brought together with all of them that you think maybe people aren't really paying attention to, or that you have some really good insight into?
That's a big question that people aren't really paying attention to.
Let's say, for instance, maybe a difference of opinion on like what reality is. Like, do you have a firm kind of understanding on that, or at least a comfortable for you understanding that resonates with you about what this place is and what reality is and what our purpose is and all that?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I was reading recently, like I think it was on Reddit. Someone had made this like really like long thought out case with all of this to back up from other people's experiences and things about it, Earth being a prison planet.
Yeah.
But that doesn't resonate with me. That doesn't resonate with me and my experiences. It sounds, maybe I am like super Pollyanna or whatever, because I've always been the person that was like, see the silver lining and so forth. But I really do believe, that we're here to learn and grow, and that love is the fabric of all existence, and everything fits into that. I think when I was reading this case that this person was making, it seemed very much coming from the mind. And I think, it's all about really the heart. The spiritual awakening is super important that the heart awakens, because otherwise, like what happened with me when I first started, and I see it a lot with other people as well, is that you will open these upper chakras up here and you'll have all these incredible experiences and you're tapping into other realms. But if you don't really open up the heart and have a massive heart clearing and awakening, then we become split. We have these 3 upper chakras, the spiritual ones. We have these 3 lower chakras, the earthly ones, but our heart connects heaven to earth, spirit to matter. And so if we don't really open this, then we can go into spiritual egotism, superiority kind of thing. And we can look down at those non-spiritual people and like, oh, what's wrong with them? And, that's really like this disconnect that's happening within ourselves that gets then projected out into the world, and so that's what happened to me initially, and I see it with a lot of people, is like you have this big spiritual awakening and then you are just like annoyed or frustrated with all the unawakened people. And so right now we have this like big polarity and duality that's, existing on the planet in all different ways being expressed. And I think, you can look at it as the same thing. Is that the key, and this is what came out of my DMT experience last year, was like Divine Mother was like channeling through me and telling or saying, I guess I could say telling me, but it was like me saying it as Divine Mother, but basically that compassion is the bridge between darkness and light, or good and evil. And so I think it might be, I don't know if people aren't seeing it, but I think it serves a good reminder to keep like moving into our heart and moving into compassion. And that's how we can bridge these worlds. And that's how we can bridge duality and move back into oneness.
Now, when you say DMT, did you smoke or ayahuasca?
So I did ayahuasca for the first time in November. And I went into like the darkest, it was basically like, it's as if I had asked universe, show me all evil, show me all of the evil that exists. I basically felt like trapped in just kind of like watching evil, witnessing evil and experiencing evil on every level for, 4 or 5 hours. And came out of there just kind of, I say like it felt like I had a stain on my soul. Like it was like I was watching like the week after, because I'm not normally the person who watches all the Disney movies. That's not really me. I was like watching all the Disney movies. I was like, I can't. I normally like, shows maybe that have, a little dystopic theme or something. I couldn't watch any of that. I was like, oh my gosh, I just need light and happy. Yeah. And it felt like I hadn't. So in that experience, I was experiencing so much evil and darkness. And I kept saying to myself, only love is real, only love is real, only love is real. And then finally, until daylight came and it got lighter out. And I thought that I had like done what I was supposed to do, which was, to just stay focused on love. But then when I had come back and I'd meditated on it, and my guide was telling me like, no, I was basically spiritual bypassing. This is exactly what I was saying about this, the light and the dark within us, or the upper and the lower chakras. It was basically, I was supposed to, see the stuff down here, the darkness, and hold compassion for it. But instead I was like spiritually bypassing and just like saying like, only love is real, only love is real. And so I felt not complete. And so then that's when I, like a few weeks later, decided to do the DMT. It felt like I needed to do this other thing. In between that, I did combo also for the first time. So it kind of, to me, it was like a trifecta. It was like, did that. And then the combo was like a certain amount of clearing and purging. And then I finished it with the DMT. And this totally was like a shift. This is where I finally moved into this sense of wholeness and completion. Yeah. So in the DMT, I told myself, so also in the ayahuasca, I realized like, I was trying to control it as well by saying only love is real. I wasn't just letting, Mother Ayahuasca show me and trust that. And so I told myself, okay, no matter what, I'm just going to accept whatever. And she had me pull a card beforehand, and the card I pulled was compassion. So it was like perfect. And so, yeah, I went into that, and it was just all patterns. It wasn't like in the ayahuasca where I actually saw terrible things happening. This was it was patterns, but it was the energy. I could feel the energy. It was like the colors were really putrid and the energy was really dark. And then at one point there was this like it felt like sexual perversion or something. It felt really like not safe. And I started to open my eyes, and I was like, no, I'm gonna face it. And when I closed my eyes and just decided to accept it, just, I don't know, all of this, I was just filled with all of this love and compassion without even trying. I just felt all this love and compassion flood over me, and I started crying like tears of love and compassion, and I felt myself as the Divine Mother. And that's when that message came through about compassion. And so and then after that, that was like the end of last year, and I've just felt so whole and complete ever since then. Like, it was about, I think, a lot of my, spiritual journey part 1, which is what this first book is, was a lot about, the love and the light, and all of that's beautiful, and we need that, but we also need to have love and compassion and show up for all of the darkness and all of the ugliness. And that was kind of like the Kundalini activation, the dark night of the soul. It was all like spiritual awakening part 2. I had like 2 major ones. And so this has all been part of that journey of really going into the depths of the darkness, and not avoiding that, being willing to face it, but still being able to feel love and joy, and not running away from the planet that we're on. The world that we're on has this duality, and we've come in to experience that. And so it's important, I think, as people who are light workers or who are on a spiritual path, we do need to be able to see and accept both sides of the duality in order to move into the oneness, to move beyond the wheel of rebirth. So
now, you said that you woke up, or your spiritual awakening happened 6 years ago. Are you referring to your Kundalini experience then?
That's spiritual awakening part 2. The first part 1 was like 20 something years ago.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
okay.
I like the part 2 element to that. So that was your Kundalini awakening about 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That kind of kicked it up a notch, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that Kundalini awakenings, because the way that you expressed it, I don't know in particular, I don't identify as somebody that's had a Kundalini awakening.
Mm-hmm.
I hear
you'll know if you have one.
Yeah, that's, we both, yes, and I've heard that, so clearly I haven't, I guess. But I have participated in a plant medicine ceremony, and it sounds a lot like the same thing. It sounds like just a 3D way of instituting a spirit into you that then could mimic or emulate exactly a Kundalini awakening. They sound very, very similar.
Well, Kundalini awakening it's an ongoing thing. It activates this energy all along your spine, and then you become, I was already, an energy healer for many years before my Kundalini activated, but it totally shifted the way that my energetic system is inside. And so I think that plant medicine experiences could, our Kundalini we can have bursts of chi or prana or whatever you want to call it, and experience these energies. But like the Kundalini awakening, once it starts, it's not a process that stops. It'll have times when it's like really active, and then it'll kind of have quiet times, but it's going to keep working its way. It's Shakti is going to come up to meet Shiva at the top. And, when that finally happens, then you're like really awakened. So I don't think there's very many people that have like a fully awakened Kundalini, but like we'll have like a partial awakening, but it could be our whole lifetime to go from the, heart chakra to the throat chakra, or, but it's moving its way up, and to clear all the karma that you came in your lifetime to clear is in your energetic system. And so this stuff, normally we it's in our energetic system, and we attract people and experiences that help us to work through that karma organically in our life, versus like everything coming up at one time. So but yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels that you can make for sure.
With the Kundalini awakening specifically, do you think that it's something that you come in with a soul contract going, okay, at this time in this life, this is when it's going to kick off? Do you think that to the follow-up question, do you think then that everybody that's on a certain spiritual path goes through one at some point, or do you think it's very specific and maybe not happen at all?
Oh yeah. It doesn't, it could absolutely not happen at all. I don't think that everybody who's on a spiritual path has Kundalini awaken at all. But I think that's true in the past. Just like in the past, it was very, very uncommon for twin flames to ever be together in the same lifetime because it's such an intense experience. But in this time that we're in now, in this massive, collective shift and awakening on the planet, it's like, oh, whatever was in the past, like that might have been true of the past, but who knows in this lifetime, I think a lot of people, might have Kundalini activated in this life, because it's also sort of like, I'm trying to use a metaphor. I was going to say almost like, I didn't want to say like a virus, but like
too soon.
I shouldn't be laughing. I know. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing, but it's, okay. Contagious in it's not like anybody can just like catch, like being around a Kundalini activated person. But if your energy is already sort of awakened and you're enmeshed with somebody who has Kundalini, it can be sort of like, Kundalini is represented by a flame or a fire. So it can be like, a match lighting another match. So I could see how it could happen all, around the world, not for people who are like really, not on a spiritual path, but like maybe in communities. I see a lot more communities coming together now spiritually in this time. And so I could see that happening perhaps where Kundalini activated people are sort of sparking other people's Kundalini.
That's well put. And I love this. And yes, the community aspect of what's going on right now globally, I mean, everyone's seeing it and it's awesome. It's like the lizard people or the turds that are running whatever the hell they're doing. It's just encouraging it more and more and more. And I have kind of this weird theory that that's why they did it, that it's all part of the same thing, right? Dark and light, the evil lizard people and not and us, not us and us. It's part of the same damn thing. So you need one to do the other. So I think this one just ramped things up because everybody was getting lazy and they were like, okay, well, fine. We're here, do this. And then there you go. And then now we're like, oh, or a lot of people are like that. And so it's cool for you to like be that resource for it because you're a beaming like light, dude. You're like a lighthouse, man. You have just this awesome presence about you. You have this wonderful way of presenting the information. You have very real connecting story. That's very cool because you're very vulnerable to that means. I mean, you're very relatable. So, I mean, you're awesome. I hope everybody goes and contacts you. Guys, reach out to her. Links in the show notes, of course. And I just can't wait to hear who connects with you because we have a really cool audience of amazing people. So, reach out. She's great. So, what is your favorite part about this whole damn thing that you do?
Wow. Man, I learned so much from my clients, just being really open. So what I learned over the years, when I first started kind of doing this work, you learn these different processes and you get certified and trained and you're like, okay, I need to do the process. And, here's step A and then there's step B and then there's step C. And then pretty early on, you realize like, oh, I'm not in charge. Spirit's in charge. All sorts of different things are happening. And where I, used to be like really attached to my process, I just had the intention to be a conduit for the highest good. Oh my gosh, your dog's so cute. I have the intention to be a conduit for the highest good for my client. And I'm open to whatever it's going to, however that's going to play out. So somebody might come and for a past life regression, but what they really needed was emotional healing. And so instead it becomes an inner child healing session instead of a past life regression, or somebody comes for stop smoking, but we go into the cosmos and speak to their spirit guides, or, all of these things, because I trust the process. And I just, just have the broad intention, like I said, highest good versus like a very narrow, specific intention. Because of that, it's really beautiful. All the different kinds of, experiences that people have, things that, I think when I first started, I was trained in past life regression. I was kind of told that, that humans are only humans, and then but I was like, I don't know if that's true. I'm open to it not being, and then have people go into, experiences where they were a mountain or they were an eagle or jellyfish. That was the one that was really interesting.
No way. Somebody was a jellyfish? How long did they live?
I mean, I don't know. Time is, that's like saying, what's time? I don't know how long they lived, but they really enjoyed being a jellyfish because there was a lot less, there wasn't the pressure of being like there is with the human of having to get things done. And they were just like in this like beingness and this flow and so forth. And then of course, lots of experiences of being non-human and the other beings and all the shapes and forms that they come in, all the different realms and all of these things. So it's like being able to be the fly on the wall or being able to be the witness is really beautiful for that. And just seeing people's powerful shift and transformation and seeing people like holding the space for people to be very vulnerable, and that's when they're like the most beautiful. And so just to like have people come into my office and just totally don't know me and just share their deepest things. Or I've had clients tell me I'm the only person who saw them cry, or it's just a real honor to have somebody trust you in that way and to be able to see their most beautiful authentic self.
So how do you manage that energy that you get from those people when they release it from them?
Yeah, I had to get really good about what I call energy hygiene in the past few years, because it's gotten, it's also just gotten really intensified on the planet, the energy on the planet. And so so many people, we're all kind of going through this collective clearing or energetic detox or darkening the collectively. And so people are just kind of like purging so much stuff. We're just swimming in it. So yeah, I have a very strong practice of grounding and protecting my energy and clearing my energy. And then also doing that for the space that I work in. I have quite a lot of tools and things that I like to do to keep my energy and the space clear.
So you channel and things like that. Okay, so have you ever been able to channel or interact with an animal in a way that's extra sensory?
Yeah, I have, but not like can I channel your dog? No, or I mean I've not tried, but I had, it was interesting when I first was experimenting with channeling on Spiritual Awakening Part 1. And my boyfriend at that time, like we were practicing really regularly every day. And at that time I was doing like kind of trance channeling. And so I was really bringing the energy in me and it was kind of like speaking through me. And then my guides kind of trained me not to do it that way. Like that's not the safest, best way. But anyway, I remember this one experience where it was really different, so pure that I just started like crying. It was really pure energy. And it was like, I could like half hear, but I was kind of half out of it. But even the way this being expressed was different. I don't know. The vibration and everything is different. Turned out it was my partner at that time, his dog from when he was young. His dog came through to connect with him and to communicate with him. And that was still, that was before I was a practitioner. And so that was still when I didn't believe that was possible, that I didn't know if pets' souls lived on or whatever at that point. And so it was kind of uncomfortable for me because in other books I had read that wasn't possible, but that was my experience. And then, when I didn't channel her, but like the last dog that I had, and she had it was like a really sad ending of her life where she had contracted this like rare disease and tried to like find help for her. And it was like so rare and there wasn't anything. And so it was really sad to put her to sleep. But her spirit came to me and told me that she was going to try being a human next time. And I'd heard that a few times. I'd asked my guide about that, and my guide had said, it's not a one size fits all. It's not like we all, I used to think it was like, oh, well, it's like we all go to kindergarten and there's certain things we learn, and then we all go to first grade and there's certain things. But actually, what he had told me was that animal souls, they have kind of this like group collective consciousness, but the ones that become our pets choose that they want to experience individualism. And so they are learning individualism from us. And then, of course, we're receiving and remembering unconditional love from them. And so we help each other. And so some of those who are pets choose to go on to try being humans from what they've learned from us.
And what a cool ass way to think about this, that all animals are wild animals and they're just on some sort of collective autopilot. That's why you get bees that do what they do. That's why you get those birds that move in those crazy cool patterns and do all that stuff. And they move, where they can't communicate, they can't think. So it's all chemical or, quantum or something. But this would explain that, because they're just kind of on an autopilot. They're just kind of I walk around, I eat, I poop, because that's what we do. We breed and then we move on and then the cycle continues. But I like the yanking a personality into one that chooses you, by the way. So that's pretty cool. Thanks, buddy. This is my dog, Doc.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're just rowdy tonight. Mama's gone, so they just sit out there and bark. So they're in here with me. So thank you for your patience, Garland and listeners. But it's cool to think about, though, that then there are little personalities that come through to you. And I like, though, also, because that's another question I had for you, is that have you remembered any of your past lives?
Oh, a lot of them. I mean, I was thinking, I keep saying this, I need to sit down and write them out. And I wish when I first, I've been like writing my dreams all of these years. And when I first, Spiritual Awakening Part 1, I had a period of time because that's when I was like meditating 3 to 4 hours each time when I would meditate. And so sometimes I would just like slip out of my body and go into past lives when I wasn't even like, back then, I don't think I wasn't even sure I believed in past lives, but I kept going into them. And then of course I've experienced past lives with other hypnotherapists, doing trades and in regression. And then, even to this day, sometimes they just drop in when it's something that I need to remember or learn. So yeah, I've experienced, being a man, being a woman, being just an energy system. I've experienced being like every race and being a peasant and a nothing. And I've experienced being an oracle in Greece or an Egyptian priestess.
Man,
I've experienced, cool. Both like super spiritual lives and super mundane past lives as well.
I could see that. I'd go oracle for you all day. That's awesome. That's really cool.
That one just came through like a few years ago. And there was a particular reason why that came through maybe like 4 years ago when a friend of mine went to the Newton Institute, one of the places that I got trained, and he needed some practice people. Anyway, that life, I was a man, and as this oracle, I didn't want any contact with women because I didn't want this like sexual energy. I thought it would be, I thought it would be sullying my spiritual connection. And I had like a very strong focus and intention and mission to bring through certain spiritual information. And so I was kept away from all women. And then I had these like attendants that would make sure I would eat and take care of my body needs because I was so like not in my body. And my soul had brought through this past life because my soul told me like that I was still following this sort of that's the masculine path is to go up, right? To transcend. And the feminine path is to embody. And of course, as a soul, we need, the feminine is the bottom triangle, and then the masculine is the upper, and then the Merkaba, the light body is, looks like the Star of David, or it's both triangles on top of each other. And we need both. We talk about ascension, but we also first need to fully embody before we ascend. Anyway, my soul brought that life forward because it said that it was still things I was still like, because I'm super queasy about the body. Like I'm the person like when they go to get my blood, I start to kind of feel faint and I don't know, just the body's always kind of been like it's for me and makes me queasy. And so my soul was like, you need to do more embodiment work. You need to do the feminine path. You need to see your body as spirit. And so that's when I started to do more. I love like ecstatic dance and, trying to like do more spiritual body-based practices and not just like go out in the cosmos and leave my body. That you need both.
So out of all of your past lives, which one was your favorite?
I mean, I don't remember all of them. Out of the ones that I remember, I mean, I don't know that there's like they each, because they come up to teach me something, right? They come up to show me things that I need to learn. And so I always think they're really cool as far as, oh, that's why I'm like that. And oh, that's that. And, so I love seeing how all the puzzle pieces fit together. And this is what I really also, back to your question before, one of the things I love about working with my clients is because when they first come in, we talk for a good 20, 30 minutes just about this life. I kind of want to know, what's the story of this life? What are the themes that run through this life? What are the lessons that you're here trying to learn in this life? And then when we go into this experience, to see how all the puzzle pieces fit together, I just love that. It's like, like a detective story or something that you figure and like, aha. And so versus like thinking that any life was better than any other life. And certainly some of them were like super, mundane or horrible. But just seeing how they make so much sense for the connections that I have with other people or, the things that I'm struggling through. And that's all what gets me excited.
It's kind of like being able to look at your past lives like that and be able to glean the lessons that you've already learned, that everybody's here to learn at some capacity, and it takes many lives, right? Sometimes to do that. But it would be useful to be able to tap into that information. Like if you're playing a video game and you make it through these levels and there's a little check mark in the corner, it's really nice to know if you start, put it down for a year or something, you come back and you're like, oh, cool, I've already done those. And I remember that, or I don't have to go through that anymore, to now I can just move on. I think that's a really cool hack. It's like a good little cheat code for the Matrix. I dig that really, really a lot. So what about whenever you were talking about your past lives, I'm just very interested in this concept because I haven't done any past life regression. I haven't done anything like that. I think it's fascinating, but I'm curious about whenever you did that, you were explaining that you were a lot of human beings of all races, different classes and things like that, class system and Oracle and such, but you didn't express any remembrance of any other type of entity. Have you ever been like a tree or an animal or you said being of light, but I mean,
I believe like we probably all have. I haven't gone back to lifetimes like that. Maybe I think that they come up on a need to know basis. And so, souls that needed that experience for whatever reason will have that in the regression. Because like, if you have to think of like, depending on who you ask, like different teachers of mine have said we have hundreds of lifetimes, like 400, 500. And I've even heard over like 1,000 lifetimes. And I've probably touched in on like 20 of my past lives, and so there's like so many that I haven't touched on. But it's because like, would it help me in some way to remember a lifetime as a tree right now?
That's what I was going to say. Is that it feels like that you've only called on the lives that would matter in this life, and that because of your intent going into the exercise. So if you go into it saying, I only want to contact human lives in this life or whatever is relevant to how I can grow now in this one. So you wouldn't need to do it. But if you went into it perhaps with the intent of just entertainment or just like, man, let's see how deep the rabbit hole goes, then you might get a different result as far as what bounces back to you, right? Do you think there's anything to that?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, if I were doing that myself. Now, I have a different idea, like, because my clients sometimes will come in and be like, I'm just curious. And I think like, oh, but, even though they're just curious, I know the soul wants them, to help them somehow. So even though they're like, I just want to, see something from my curiosity, I'm always thinking like, no, the soul's not going to waste this opportunity to help you heal or grow in some way. So yeah, I'm just naturally just very like growth focused. I'm super driven to grow and expand. So yeah, I'm not like really exploring things just for curiosity. I'm like constantly wanting to level up or whatever. But yeah, even when people come in, and I tell them this, like with the past life regression, somebody might say like, oh, I want to experience a past life with my wife or whatever, one that we had together. And I'm like, well, if that's, what your soul wants you to experience today, if that's in your highest good today, that might happen, or something else might, so somebody might come in and just want to have fun or be curious, but the soul's gonna like be like, well, here's what you need. I know this is what you want. Here's what you need, and kind of give you what you need. But yeah, I'm sure I have. I really do think that we have, all of the experiences. I think for myself, because I've been told by my guides that I like it too much in spirit, and I have a harder time being human. And so that's why I intentionally came in with my inner vision shut down. So when I am regressed or when I go into meditation, I don't usually see images. I see colors, but I don't see things the way that other people do. I feel and I sense things. And I was told that's because so that it will kind of be a little bit less real, because otherwise I tend to just want to escape out there and not be here.
It's
so
like
I think
parental
that's probably
control.
Why.
It's like you said, a spiritual parental control for yourself.
Yeah.
Where like you're so tapped into what's going on the other side, you had to stop yourself at a certain point because you knew you'd get there and blow by it, right?
Yeah, maybe one day when I'm like so happy being in the body, then and I've so merged my spirit in the body. I'm sorry?
You'll get hit by a bus and then it's over. And then that's when it'll be. It'll be the day that you're just cool with it gone, I
was going to say the opposite. Like maybe then that's when my spiritual vision will open and be like, okay, you love being in the body now. We can show you what it's like in spirit. I don't know.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
and
most
I do
of my
not
clients
wish bad things on you. We're just having fun.
It's okay. I'm one that I really believe like when it's my time, and I feel like there's still a lot I can do here on the planet, a lot of good I can do, a lot more. So I don't think it would be my time right now. But if it was, I know it's beautiful and wonderful on the other side. So I don't have fear around that.
It's just like one of those great ironies of the universe, right? The second you get a hold of something, and there's that old story, that cartoon that had, the guy with glasses, and then one dude like died and he's alone now in this library, right? And he's like super pumped because he's all to himself. Now he can just read, which is what he wants. And then he goes to get a book, his first book to sit down, and then he looks down and his glasses break. So now he's stuck for eternity or however long he lives with all these books and no way to read them, right? So it's like this great irony of the universe kind of a thing. So it's funny. It would be semi-entertaining if you just look at it dispassionately. Entertain the idea that once you achieve this sort of body enlightenment and you're comfortable with it and you're like, okay, fine, I'll exist in this thing, boom, bust. You know what I mean? And that's like that irony of the universe. It tells us that it has a good sense of humor sometimes,
Yeah, luckily we're not trapped like the guy in the library without the glasses. Like when it's time, it's like, oh, I really love it here, and then boom, it's time to move on. It's even more wonderful beyond here, and so that's a good consolation, I think.
So you talk about life between lives. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, that's there's this. Did you read Journey of Souls by Michael Newton?
No.
Okay, put that on your reading list or audiobook list. Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. Journey of Souls is one of like the books I read when I first was opening spiritually, and everything was like super brand new to me, and it just made so much sense. It really resonated with me. Michael Newton was a hypnotherapist. I think it's a similar story with Brian Weiss, if you know who he is. Yeah. Where like didn't believe in reincarnation, and then tries, has a client that he is bringing back to the source of an issue. And then the client goes through like into a past life, and then goes through the death experience, and then goes into spirit realm in between lives. So the life between lives is like what happens in spirit realm, like after you died in your last life, before you come back in this life, what happens there. So people meet with a spirit guide or guides. We all have guides. You have a soul family, or classmates, or however you want to think of it. So meeting with them, the other group of souls that you're like kind of working together with, and there is a council of elders, like evolved souls that sort of watch over our whole evolution over many lifetimes as souls. We don't always meet with them between every single life, and so in some client sessions, they're meeting with the council of elders, sometimes not. But the client will bring in questions that they want asked, and that will be asked either to their guide or guides, or to the council of elders, or even to them in their own higher consciousness state. So a lot of people, are wanting to know, like, what is my soul's purpose? Am I on track for what I came in this lifetime? But people will also even ask, like, should I move to Arizona or Texas, or things like, they could ask like real 3D type questions as well. But that's a piece of it. There's also just what we do as souls on the other side, in between lives. We have different roles that we play. I used to say jobs, and then I was like, oh, it doesn't sound nobody wants like
well,
I go on the other side and now I have a job I have to do. But really, like, if you think about how boring it would be, just I always joke about like, oh, we're just like playing the harp, like in the way they always depict it. Like, no, that's really boring, right? We have different focuses or different interests, and so whether on our own or with our soul group, we're doing different roles and things on the other side. So a lot happens. It's like a 4-hour long regression session.
So do you think that it's possible, because when you look at different spiritual practices, and we'll just keep it in that wheelhouse, we don't even have to talk about all the other religions out there and all of those other things, but they're definitely part of that conversation if you want to expand it. But whenever you just talk about spirituality, okay, there's a lot of people that believe that they're channeling this person from this place and it's not the same as this other. And then they've got a big following, and they've got a big following. And it seems like there's so much information, especially now, and everyone's being bombarded with the terms like download and spirit guides and crystals and things like that. So to help navigate through those muddy waters, do you think that, and let's just be honest here, do you think that any of it's real, or are we all just creating this which makes it real? Which would lend to the kind of the idea that any, Christian that believes when they die, they go to heaven, they do go to heaven because they created it. They created that belief system, which created their reality, that filtered their existence through this. It's kind of like, playing a role in a movie, but you have to dress up and be that character the whole time. So your belief system is wrapped up in your identity, which then perpetuates your existence in such a way as whenever you finally get to the end there, you do create that circumstance and then exist in it until you want to remember or whatever. But this also would explain like stigmata and things like people that have seen very real things that have happened, paranormal type things, but they expect it. It's in a way that resonates with them based on their belief system, UFOs, things like this, right? So again, back to my question, and again, let's just be honest here. Are we all just full of shit? Like, are we all just kind of creating this shit and it's all real, it's all right, but it gets so convoluted that it's like, well, now I got to believe in that because someone spoke it into existence. Therefore, we live in a co-collective creative. And if I go down that path, that's kind of a thing that I've got to go through. Or is it possible that if we never heard about any of this stuff at all, that we'd still have just as good a time and things would end up the same? It's just kind of a aspect of the experience, again, like a role that we play here, like a filter we choose to view the world through.
That's a very big question. So, I mean, when people, because this will happen in the regression sessions and they'll have this whole experience, and then afterward they'll say, was that even real? And then I'll say, well, what is real? What does real mean to you? Everything, I think, you have this whole experience when you go to sleep and you have this dream and you live this whole life. And then you come back, you awake in the morning, you're like, oh, that was just a dream. It wasn't real. But why wasn't it real? If you had emotions or if you learned something and you shifted and transformed, isn't that real? And then, who's to say, yeah, when we die, we say, oh, this life wasn't real. And everything is just, or your ayahuasca experience or any of it, they're just different states of consciousness. And so I think that the word real it's kind of irrelevant. Like, to me, again, like the focus is on expanding reality,
I love when people do that. Nice job.
Yeah, I know. People do that on our podcast
fun.
all the time too. Yeah. So it's fun to like drop that in there. But yeah, I was going to say actually expanding consciousness, so for me, I just kind of wanting to continue to expand my consciousness. And so that's what's real to me. But, a little bit of what you said is something in the Journey of Souls books where people or souls would experience, like, let's say they were Christian and they believed in heaven. And then, so when they would tap into in between lives, for a while they would go to like this like heaven-like place, but then slowly they would awaken to like, oh, and then, whoever they saw, like, oh, that's Jesus, and using all that same framework. But over, I don't know if time is the right word in spirit realm, they were like, oh, wait, they realized that was a construct. And so I think that eventually we all, awaken to, we can have these different constructs, but they're not like less real because we learn and grow through them, but we will eventually awaken to more and beyond that. And so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. We can choose different experiences, to try out and to resonate with. That's what reincarnation is to me. Well, this lifetime, let me be, homeless, orphan or whatever, and let me see what that's like. And so, they're all just different, experiences and flavors of that. So, I don't think it's necessary that we're all supposed to agree or find the one true reality while we're here on Earth. We're all having our own unique, different experience, as we should, as was designed for.
I completely agree. You've nailed it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's very personal. So therefore, if you believe that, yes, absolutely. I'm not 100% sold on the idea of consensus reality. I'm just not. And maybe in a small capacity, but it seems like the more you get out into it, the more it ramps up and really proves itself to you to be exactly what you think it is, no matter what that is, if that makes sense. So with new understandings that are coming out and all these people having whatever kind of awakening this is, which I think both of us have already agreed on this, that there is something going on, right? What do you think the next step looks like? If you can kind of, Nostradamus it a little bit for us and see what you think.
I don't think I can Nostradamus it. I think that we are creating it as we go along. It does look, if you look at things like astrology, and I have a couple really good friends that are astrologers, it's looking like a lot more of some unraveling is going to go. I'm trying to look at the nice way to say it. It looks like a lot more unraveling is going to still happen in our society and our societal structures, and some, this whole kind of sovereignty versus control and all of these, dualistic things that are happening. It looks like that's going to keep going down, but I think that that's all, so that more people are awakening through that. That might be part of the bigger plan. I mean, I do think eventually, probably not in my lifetime, but like, there's going to be this golden age, but we're in the process of things, all the dirt that was swept under the rug is all coming up to be looked at and healed and loved and, given compassion. But before we get to that state, it looks like everything's a mess and dark and and so forth. So that's going to sound not very, well, maybe that's not Nostradamus. It wasn't like he was all like light and, and
nobody knew it. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He was just a really good poet, and people are losing their damn minds on it, right? Well, I've got to introduce you to Karen Swain. Have you ever heard of her? She does ATP Media over in Australia. Okay, I'll hook you up with her. She is absolutely wonderful, and she will love you. It's funny when you say that you want to, check it out, or you don't think you'll be here for the golden age, but it'd be nice to see. That's one of her deals. She wants to be reincarnated here so she can see the work that she's done in the future. I think that's so cool, like planting a tree and then becoming your, great-grandson's whatever, and then coming back and seeing that tree that you planted, right, lifetimes ago. I think that that's cool, like that kind of idea about looking at it. It's because it's whimsical. And just like you said about the twin souls thing earlier, it just made me think of like, that's such like a romantic idea. I dig the hell out of that. It doesn't even have to be sexual. It's just cool that you can make like a buddy deal or a pact or maybe love, whatever. But then you spin off into all these other different lifetimes. They're going to be maybe peppered in with like an alien here and there and a squid on a crazy moon of some crazy star system somewhere. And so you'll have all of this, and it's like a tapestry, which it just speaks more to how deep this shit goes. Because then you start thinking about all of those accumulated experiences wrapped up into just these two that complete a whole, right? These twin flames. And then they come back together and they have this tapestry of experiences. No two would ever be alike. It's absolutely infinite. And that's amazing. I mean, this is like a really cool way to look at this. I dig the hell out of that. You're great.
You're great.
Now, this is awesome. So let me ask you this. With all these people, like I said earlier, coming up and doing this, what's some advice that you've got for anybody that is just now kind of awakening to this stuff, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, it's so important, like you're saying, because there's so much information and misinformation. If, there's just so much that if you're trying to just intellectually, logically figure out moving forward, you're going to be really confused. So I think it's super important to, whether it's like through meditation or whether it's through some kind of energy work or channeling, to connect with your soul or your higher self and find your channel of truth within so that you can discern. It's not about the ultimate truth. It's about, what's true for you in this life. What I needed, 5-10 years ago is different from what I need now. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the one forever truth, but you have to have a way to know what's right for you in the moment, to feel it and resonate with it versus to try to figure it out intellectually, because it'll like mess with you if you try to only figure it out. I'm not saying that we're going to shut down our brains. I'm saying we need the piece of intuition. And we also, need our heart open to guide us. And then we also, I would say the energy hygiene stuff I was saying before is also super important in this time. It's always been important, but I really like where I could get away with not doing it every day, years ago for a long time as an energy healer. Now it's like, no, I have to do it every day, the way I have to brush my teeth every day, even though I'm exhausted and I don't want to brush my teeth, I still brush my teeth. And same, that's how I feel about, everybody needs to be super grounded and embodied, because if we're not embodied, which like I told you before, I was like half in, half out for a lot of my life, head in the stars, kind of not fully present here. And that's when you can be really affected by other people's energies, kind of like leaving the door open in your in your house. Then other, people can come in. You got to make sure that you shut that and lock it and carefully look out the peephole before you open the door and let anybody in. And so we have to do that with our energetic system, because there's so much going on collectively, energetically, that you might take on, people who are opening might take on, and it kind of will muddy the water and keep you from having the inner clarity that you need moving forward on your spiritual path.
It's amazing. You're so articulate. The way you say stuff is absolutely incredible. You're just amazing. Please come back anytime. We're probably going to cap it here, but you are absolutely delightful and wonderful, and I had an awesome time with you. I think you have just such wisdom with this, and you've got just such, like I said, a well-rounded specialties that you do, and which makes you like this, again, tapestry of all these different experiences that you've had that you can kind of bring together and share as one. I think that's amazing. Do you mind just letting folks know where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is awakeningtransformation.com.
Perfect. All right, guys, that'll be linked below, and go also check out her book, of course, and her podcast. You guys go check Beyond the Illusion. It is awesome. You guys do a wonderful job on that. It is very, very cool. I am truly grateful for your time and your wisdom, and you are welcome back any damn time you want. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been so fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you.
Awesome. Well, then we will have to do it again. You're in Texas anyway. You got to come up, see the ranch, see the animals, meet the wife, and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. All right. Well, like I said, thank you, Open Door, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thanks so much.
All the love in the world for Tianna coming on the show and hanging out with us. She is absolutely amazing, guys. Of course, you know the deal. All the ways to find her will be linked down in the show notes, so just go down there and check that out. Linked down there as well is the website, so expandingrealitypodcast.com. That's where also it's like a hub for all the other links. So everything's kind of centralizing there. We got the videos up there now. YouTube is linked from over there, all that good stuff. That's also where you can find our merch. So we have t-shirts. We've partnered with TeePublic, and we're doing some really cool stuff. More designs to come, so if you want to rep, that's how we can do it, and that's a great way to support the show. Links through the website. So also a link there is Rokfin. Go check out Rokfin. It's awesome. Our premium content is, like I said in the beginning here, slowly trickling over there, but there's a lot more to come, and we have a lot of really cool stuff planned. So go ahead and get on board anyway. Amy's over there. A bunch of really great content creators, guys, and it's all their premium stuff, so it's really cool. It's a fun platform to be on. I'm grateful to be a part of it. So you guys head over there if that it sounds like something you'd like to do, because it's dope. Go out into this week, guys. We have a lot of new stuff to process with episodes like this, and you kind of integrate it into paradigms that you had, and you're just kind of piecing this whole thing together. Well, I'm here with you. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but it's all magical stuff. I personally just kind of at the end here wanted to tell everybody that I've come to like this real calm, this real like peace about all this stuff, right? I know it's fun to look into the conspiracy theories and stuff, and I love that too. I mean, that's a big part of my joy of something to experience on this plane, right? Anyway, but lately it's just been heavy, and I know that, you know, for everybody out there, but just know you're not alone. I mean, we're all here. Reach out if you need anything, of course. Don't do anything super crazy. Just go within. That's where you can find the answers. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to tell everybody as I kind of got to this place. And I wish this for everyone. This is the only damn reason I'm spending any time on this. Is because it's valuable. It's been valuable to me, and coming from the far side of the conspiracy stuff, guys. It's really changed my perspective on a lot of stuff, and I wish that for everyone. So anyway, thank you again, bottom of my heart, while I got you, for listening and sharing and liking and all that good stuff. It means the world to me. This has been awesome. I just feel like a conduit. You know, it's bigger than me. It's nothing to do with me anyway. I've always wanted this to be about the guests and the ideas, and it's gotten that momentum, so this is great. Our charts are doing awesome. You guys are kicking ass. Just love all of y'all. So I just wanted to say that bottom of my heart. So go out into your week this week, guys, and pick up a piece of litter, of course. Hold a door, buy a coffee, a meal, a bottle of water, something small. It doesn't matter. It makes a massive difference, right? Be nice to every entity, animal, everybody that you come across. Open the door for somebody, you know. That's an awesome thing, and it's real small. It's not a big deal, but it makes a big deal to them. You know, it's just one of these things. You know, just be good to everybody, right? Get out of that left-hand lane. Of course, it's still a pain in the ass. So get out of the left-hand lane, and above all, guys, go out into this place, whatever the hell this beautiful, magical, crazy shit show is. Just be good to each other. You know, just be good to one another. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening.